Hello! In this video, we are going to talk about what people do and don't do using the present simple, specifically using the negation of the present simple with different verbs. The objective for this lesson is then to use the present simple to describe what people usually do and don't do. We say usually because that is what we use the present simple for, to talk about things that people do in general, usually, habitually. All right? Let's remember some affirmative statements that we can produce using the present simple. For example, this one, the first one, is a sentence that uses the verb be. I am a junior high school student. So I am, that is the conjugation of be in the present simple. All right? When we have some verbs that are not the verb be, we have to pay attention to do we have to add the s or not to the verb? Let's see this example. My sister and I, that is a plural, means it is a third person, and I, so that means that I am included, that is a first person plural. In that case, we don't add the s to the verb. My sister and I study from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we study, nothing to the verb. But when we're talking about a third person, one that is not I or you, my father, for example, my father works at home all day. We add the s to the verb. Remember that. Now, for the negation, remember that we use the word not after the auxiliary. The structure is always subject plus auxiliary plus the word not, and then whatever comes next, the complement. For example, to negate the sentences that we had before, we say, I am not an elementary school student. I am not, that means that the auxiliary is am, and we have added not after it. I am not an elementary school student. My sister and I, that is we need to add an auxiliary before we use not, for the negation. So the auxiliary that we use for the present simple for plural or for plural nouns, or for I or for you for the first and second person, and for the plural subjects is do. We use do just to attach the not to, and we use that before the verb. Look, my sister and I do not, and then the complement in that case is the verb, do not study from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. All right? So before the verb, in the base form, we add the auxiliary and then not. You may have seen this before, but I am here helping you remember that. We can contract do not into don't. My sister and I don't study from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. All right? Now, when we're talking about a third person, remember that we add the s to the verb. In this case, we add the s to the auxiliary. To the auxiliary do, we add es because the word do ends in an o. After a verb ends in in o, we add es. My father doesn't, that is the way we pronounce that. My father doesn't drive to work every day. That is a way to negate the verb drive there using the auxiliary, especially when we're talking about a third person. My father doesn't drive. If I say I don't drive, I use don't because I am not a third person singular. That is the key there. We're going to practice that with this simple activity. Complete the following negative sentences, okay, they are all negative, using the verbs suggested. As you can see, at the end of each sentence, there's a verb in parentheses. That is the verb that you need to use in the sentence. So in that case, you are going to negate that verb. How? By using the auxiliary. Remember that the verb be is an auxiliary and a verb in itself, so you don't need to add an extra auxiliary. And for the other verbs that are not be, you need to use do or does before the negation not. All right? You already know that, so I'm going to ask you to please pause my video, complete the activity, and I will see you in a moment to show you the answers. Okay, go ahead, pause my video, complete the activity, please. Right, I hope that you did pause my video and that you're ready to compare your answers with mine. The first one, I am not a musician in the school's band. All right, the auxiliary is am and we negate it with not. My brother doesn't like to swim in the river. Doesn't like, because we have does in that case. We added the S to the auxiliary. We don't need to add it to like. All right, next. My father and my mother, two people, third person, but that is plural, don't go to dance on Saturdays. All right. My sister doesn't buy clothes in the thrift store, means the store where they sell cheap clothes, usually secondhand stores, secondhand clothes. My sister doesn't buy clothes in the thrift store. Danielle is not my neighbor. She is my cousin. All right? Or we could say isn't my neighbor. All right? Very good. I hope that all your answers are correct. Next. Write 6 sentences indicating what 3 people in your family do and don't do every day. We're going to use the present simple and 3 sentences. That will be 3 people, yes. And 3 sentences will indicate what they do and 3 other sentences what they don't do. All right, 6 in total. So I'm going to ask you to pause my video, complete the activity, and I will see your 6 sentences in a moment so we can compare them. All right, go ahead, pause my video, complete the activity. Thank you. Thank you very much. And here I have some sample answers. Of course, they're not going to be the same as yours, but they will help you as some reference. First one, my mother waters the plants every day. It means that she puts water on the plants every day. That's what she does. Now what she doesn't do. She doesn't take the dog out for a walk. She doesn't take the dog. Good. Next. My brother studies in the afternoon every day. Studies. The verb study ends in Y, and before Y there is a consonant. That's why we change the Y to I and then we add ES. Studies in the afternoon every day. He doesn't run every day. Okay? That was number 4. Number 5, let's say, of the 6 sentences you're writing. My father drinks coffee every day. I guess in the morning. All right? He doesn't read the newspaper every day. What he does, what he doesn't do. All right? Now, I am going to pause my video so that you can practice your pronunciation. All right? Listen to the native speaker pronounce this and then you repeat after them. Go ahead. Practice, please.
My mother waters the plants every day. She doesn't take the dog out for a walk. My brother studies in the afternoon every day. He doesn't run every day. My father drinks coffee every day. He doesn't read the newspaper every day.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having practiced your pronunciation. And remember that in this lesson, we talked about what people do and don't do. And for that, we use the negation. We use an auxiliary before the word not to negate something in general in English. In this case, in the present tense. Thank you very much for having completed this activity, and I'll see you in the next one.